What's up, everyone? Just doing a quick live. Matt G, favorite tech salesman. Thanks, man. You know a lot of them? I got my hot tea here, but the bag is broken. It's a sad day. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, they added some like stickers here. All right, what else do they got? Follow me. Now let's do ask me anything. Sure. Is there a path for someone who's been in professional services and solutions architect to go into sales? Yeah, definitely. If you're interested in like the pre-sale side, then for sure, like probably a direct path there would be to look at like sales engineering and pre-sales, and then do that for like a year or two, and then transition into sales if that's what you really want to do. Do you know how many roles AWS does for the SDR position? You've been told 4 to 5. Yeah, 4 to 5 is about right. I think for me, it was 5 or 6. So it's like pretty typical. And in each round, they're focusing on like 2 leadership principles, 1 to 2. So it's a pretty intensive process. But actually, when you say rounds, so there's like, usually there's the recruiter pre-screen, then you have an initial screening with the hiring manager. Both of those are pretty short, like 30 minutes. Then you do like the full round of interviews, and you do those all in one day. What's the highest annual pay you've ever seen in tech sales? So salary-wise, the highest salary I think you'll ever see is like base salary is like $200K. And that's at like the bigger companies like Microsoft or Google. Amazon, they actually cap out your base salary at $160K. So that's like the highest base pay. But overall pay, over $1 million for sure, either through like giving like a really solid sales year through commission or through stocks. Like I have a friend who he joined Snowflake a year before they went public, and he had like $300,000 of options when he joined. Now it's worth like $4 million, and it's vesting over 4 years. So his annual pay is like, I don't know, it's like 1.4, 1.5 million a year now. Pretty crazy. Looking to leave EdTech sales as a high 6-figure earner. Where should you go now? Remote op. Cloud is pretty good. Cloud is good. Is there a way to figure out what's a fair OTE in regards to how much your quota is? Usually it's like 10% of your quota. So for example, for like enterprise sales, $2 to $3 million quota is pretty typical. And then they usually pay 250 to 300K OTE, but it varies quite a bit. Depends on the product, the profit margins, if you're getting paid only on new business versus existing business. Salary plus comp. Oh, salary plus comp. So for enterprise, typically it tops out at like 300K, 150 base, 150 salary, or 150 base, 150 commission. So 300K total comp. And then stock is on top of that. Where do you find a legit gig? LinkedIn are you'll pretty much find most of the positions on LinkedIn. That's where people are posting most of them. So companies are posting most of them. Just got here. How would you recommend getting started? So a couple ways. Look at my playlist, how to get into tech sales. So I've got some like free resources posted on my Discord. Basically, you'll be posting like building out a sales focused resume, focused on like quantitative metrics in terms of your performance. Then you're looking at entry-level sales development representative, business development representative positions. These are the entry-level roles. They don't require any prior experience for the most part. So I recommend, try to apply for, 40 or so positions. And if you don't get any traction after like 4 weeks or something, then you can look at like a boot camp, like pre-hired or pre-sales academy. Those are listed in my bio too. Thoughts on joining Zoom? Zoom's pretty solid. You know, their stock's a bit down, but still solid company, solid product. I don't think remote work's going anywhere. Is B2B a good way to start out of college? Definitely, yes. You did an interview today and the recruiter said 90% of the team is hitting quota at 100K OTE. Sketchy. You know, it's not too uncommon. I would say if it's 90% over the past like 4 or 5 years, maybe. But if it's 90% of the team is hitting quota this year, that's actually not too surprising. A lot of companies held back quota because of COVID. They weren't sure how long COVID was going to impact the economy. Everything bounced back pretty quickly. So a lot of people a lot of teams are having higher than average quota attainment figures. Cybersecurity versus cloud versus Web3, which would you recommend for someone who's already a BDR? Cybersecurity and cloud's pretty solid. Web3 is, you know, I've been in crypto for a while. I think we're still a ways out from like actual real world use cases. Am I off this week? Technically no, but you know, it's a slow week. So, I usually don't take PTO for the most part. Cause I schedule my own meetings and everything. I'll just have like slower days and, yeah. Hardware versus software sales, which is better? Software sales, definitely better in my opinion, because you're gonna get paid more, higher profit margins, bigger deals means you get paid more. How much did you earn salary and comp wise when I was 25? So when I was 25, that was 2 or 3 years out of college. So I think I did 2 videos where it showed my salary progression through the years. So when I first graduated, I was an application engineer on the support side, technical support side. I was making 62K. This was in 2014, January 2014. And then within that company, I got promoted to I moved into an SDR position, got promoted into an ISR position after 10 months. I think by the time I left, I was at like 75K. And then I left for a cybersecurity startup and they were paying me at first 115K and then it went up to 135K. So I was at 135K at 25. Looking at applying for MongoDB Sales Academy, any thoughts? Yeah, MongoDB, super solid company. Definitely go for it. Currently telecom SE, looking against SaaS sales, best transition paths, certs. Yeah, certs are gonna go a long way, especially if you want to go into like the public cloud companies. So getting like your professional architect certifications, those will help. Is Paycom legit? Paycom is legit. You mentioned before, but what is your total comp? This year, my total comp, so like base plus stock plus on-target commission is like 300K, but exceeding that by a good amount this year. Big companies or startups? For just starting out, I would definitely say big companies. Once you have experience under your belt, you know exactly what you need to do. Startups can be good, but you have to be careful. You need to know what to look out for in terms of what a good startup is versus a bad startup. Thoughts on joining Zillow for SDR? It could be interesting. You know, Zillow is like a leader in the real estate market. I don't follow their business model too closely, other than my exposure to real estate. During an interview with CRO, VP of Sales, what would you ask about their volume of their reps pipeline? You know, you could ask questions. So interviewing with like the CRO or VP of Sales, some good questions to ask would be, what are some of like the common traits of like the top performers on your teams? What are the biggest pain points that you have? Where do you see like the most growth opportunities in terms of like untapped white space in the market? Certs don't help, bro, Cap. No, they certs help for like the sales engineer type roles, the technical roles. I would assume that's what he's asking for. So for example, like Google and AWS, if you have like those professional architect certifications from AWS or Google, it almost guarantees like interviews for you. How much are you making? Average hours you work? This year I'm gonna be making close to 500K. Probably work on average like 30 hours a week. Best place in Toronto for Canada for tech sales jobs. I'm not actually too familiar with the Canada market, so sorry about that. Having to wait 3 years, is it worth staying or going somewhere like Microsoft? I would probably go somewhere like Microsoft. Any recruiters who are hiring? Lots of recruiters are. I don't know if there's any recruiters on here right now. Max you can make a strategic software rep is about 1.72 million. Yeah, that's about right. I know some reps who've had like really big multi-year, you know, $100+ million deals, and they basically cap out those commission caps. Most exciting deal you worked on? Most exciting deal I probably worked on was at the fintech startup that I was at before. I was selling machine learning for credit underwriting. And the one customer I was working with was Freddie Mac. They underwrite like half of all the mortgages for first-time home buyers. So with our technology, I was able to help them approve an additional, it was like 50,000 African-American households for first-time home purchases because we're able to provide a score that was a lot more fair. So that was pretty exciting to me. SDR team at big company, only 16% hitting goal in November. Rare? Not rare. I would say it probably means they just set the goals really badly. So I've seen that happen before. Is 65K 50-50 split low for SDR startup when you have 2-3 years of experience? It depends on the location, but 60 to 90K, that's about the range for BDR positions. Moving to New York City, but you can't find a guarantor for your apartment. Should you ask your job? It doesn't hurt to ask. I've heard, New York has some strict rental requirements. What's an example yearly income you could be doing in tech sales over 5 years? So over 5 years, so you'll be starting off at the SDR position, 60 to 100K as a SDR, BDR. And then from there, you'll go into inside sales rep, and then small and medium business, AE, mid-market, enterprise. But you might be able to get to enterprise at the 5-year mark. And at that point, you'll be making 200 to 300K. You're a sales engineer, talking about sales roles. I've done both. I've done sales engineering and sales roles. Right now, I'm in a sales role. Where do I live? I'm in Chicago right now. You see my comments everywhere. Yeah, I spend a lot of time on TikTok. It's the only media that I pretty much do. I'm trying to do more on Instagram, but TikTok's more addicting for me. What exactly is tech sales? Tech sales is selling software to other companies at a high level. So selling cloud, selling cybersecurity. What sites do you recommend for applying to jobs? LinkedIn, RepView. What do I sell? I sell the cloud. My major in college was biomedical engineering. Would you only go to AE roles at companies that are crushing sales? Probably. I mean, it's very easy to get kind of sucked into a position at a company where the product isn't really that great and they're just churning through reps. So, the safest bet for sure is going into a company where the sales reps are already doing very well. It's a great product. It's well accepted within the market. You got so lucky getting a tech sales job. They're pretty hard to get, really high demand. Yeah, the entry-level roles are hard. Just in general, entry-level roles are very hard to get just across the board, anywhere in tech. There's a lot of people going for these roles, but once you get in, it's a lot easier to get new positions, switch companies. What's a good way to stand out for the SDR interview? Do your research on the company, their competitors, their product fit, and have very good experiences that you can talk about during the behavioral questions. Is Lead Forensics a good company to work for in tech sales? I'm not too familiar with them. I can check them out though. How did my MBA benefit you as an AE? Did I use it as a leverage for negotiating salary? I think I was able to use it to negotiate the level that I got within Amazon. It definitely helped. And in terms of how the MBA benefits, it just gives additional credibility when you're talking to executive stakeholders, for example. I'm on strategic and global accounts. I only manage 2 very large accounts. So mostly working with C-suite executives. So it's really just a credibility thing. Recommendations for podcasts. I haven't really listened to too many podcasts lately, but I think there's some in the Discord. Thoughts on ZoomInfo for SDR right out of college? ZoomInfo, I've heard they have a really good training program, so that'd be a good place to start right out of college. Accepted for offer for Amazon advertising account manager. Thanks for all the tips. Congrats. Let me know when you get started. You can send me a chime or a Slack. How's sales in aerospace? I'm not too sure. I don't have too much experience in aerospace. There we go. Cisco America is a great company. Blah, blah, blah. Is waiting 3 years for 15K stock worth when you're at a 60K OT, or is it better to just hit AE and leave? I would say hit AE, see where you're at, see where your career trajectory is at that point, and then also you got to compare what other offers that you have. If you don't have any offers in hand, then it's kind of like a moot point. So get an offer first, and then you can compare how much would you be making if you stayed versus if you took that new offer. Best way to get into SWE or SDR entry roles. So two very different roles for SWE. Freecodecamp.org is a great free training resource. Check that out. For SDR, look at my Get Into Tech Sales playlist. You can also look at like boot camps, like pre-hired. Have I ever heard of Quartile? That's the tech company I work for. I haven't heard of them. How much do I make? This year will be close to 500. Why do we look sad? I'm just tired. I'm actually just about to go to bed. I only hopped on because one of the videos that I posted started popping off, so it's usually good to hop on live. But did not get much sleep last night, so you try going to enterprise if you're doing well in mid-market? It depends. So in some companies, you can actually get very high on the job ladder in SMB or mid-market. In other companies, you basically have to move to enterprise if you want to get promoted past a certain point. So it's going to depend on the company that you're at. If you can't get hired, internally promoted to an AE, how hard is it to convince a new company to hire you as an AE? So it's going to be probably harder to convince a new company to hire you as an AE, but it's not to say you can't do it. Am I working? No, I usually stop working at like 4 or 5. Oh, there we go. You work at B2B agency for SDR right now. How do you transition to tech? So how do you transition to tech? So you probably would, so with your SDR experience, I probably would just start applying for SDR positions at tech companies. Can I do a mock discovery call live? Maybe on a future live, I can plan some of these like mock live sessions. Progression from SDR role, how long does it usually take? Usually it's like a year and a half, 18 months. It can be faster. I actually got promoted from an SDR to ISR in 10 months, which was fairly quick. And in some cases it could be upwards of 2 years, but usually I would say 12 to 24 months within that range. Are there remote SDR jobs? Most of them are remote right now just because of COVID, but usually these roles will be in person. Is it too late to get into this field if you're older? Nope. I had former sales colleagues that were like in their 70s, for example, and still doing well. So we see people slide into sales from consulting and be successful. Yep, I've definitely seen that. Consulting to sales is fairly common. How long should you stay in the SDR role? What would you recommend your next move to be? Again, I would say past a year, you start to plateau in terms of what you're learning within the role. So try to get promoted within 2 years. Next role from there would be an account executive role or inside sales rep role. Manager told me you'll be promoted to AE soon. Any tips on that, the transition from SDR to AE? Yes, so big tips on that transition is find some like senior AEs that you can shadow and learn best practices from. There's definitely going to be like a bit of a learning curve going from an SDR type workflow to an AE workflow. Be very good with your time management skills. It's going to be even more important as an AE versus an SDR. Transition to other positions or other companies doing tech sales. Thoughts on Paycom? Paycom's solid. Raleigh is a good spot to start off in tech sales. Yep. Thoughts on RFI positions? I'm not sure which ones RFI positions are. You're currently an SDR and it's going great, but you don't want to go the account manager route. Yeah, that's common. So at the first company that I was at as an SDR, I think like a third of the people did not go into the account management route. They either went into product marketing, technical marketing. A couple went into customer success. I think one even engineering development side. So you can do lots of different positions. You don't have to go into an account manager role if that's not what you're interested in. You could also look at stuff like partner development, business development. Best time of day to do outreach, time of day. In my experience, either like first thing in the morning is usually a good time to catch people, and then early afternoon. If you wait like late morning, then usually people are already like in like their workflow and they don't want to pick up. If you get them in the morning, like first thing in the morning, like early morning, they might still be kind of like in a passive work mode, so it's a good way to catch them. And then early afternoon is good because if it's already at the end of the day, people are going to be like trying to like wrap up what they're working on. Working at AWS, have I heard of OutSystems? I have not heard of OutSystems. I also haven't heard of Cypress.io. Great questions, everyone. I'm gonna do maybe like 5 more minutes, and then I gotta hop to bed. But if you guys have any other questions, feel free to like also like Instagram me anytime. Is Cisco a good company? Yeah, Cisco's solid. They're doing a lot of investment. Definitely a good place to start. Any creative ways to source prospective clients? Yeah, I think a good creative way, what I like to do is leverage referrals. So use like the successful customers that are already on your platform and try to leverage them to get recommendations for other companies or other individuals that those companies can reach out to. That can be a great way to develop leads and source prospective clients because then that customer is essentially almost like selling for you, and it's a great like warm intro. Thoughts on becoming customer success manager for career progression? Customer success manager, great career path. Definitely you don't have as much like, you don't have like quota pressure. Earning potential is a little bit lower because you're on a bonus versus a commission structure, but I know people that really enjoy the role, so please go live more. I think I probably will do more lives. I do my weekly Wednesday evening lives, but I'll probably start hopping on live like maybe every other day for like 15, 20 minutes. Is it typical for a new BDR to work more than 40 hours a week? Early on, it could definitely happen, especially if you're still trying to develop your workflow. But as you're like in the role for a longer period of time, you should be like developing some pretty good workflows to make yourself more efficient. Should you try to negotiate SDR salary? You should try to negotiate any job offer that you get for sure. Best way to negotiate is, of course, get competing job offers. Any email tips? They tend to close at a higher rate than cold call emails. Yeah, so email tips, subject line is very important. Keep it short, less than I think 10 words. You have to think that a lot of people are reading emails on their mobile devices. So look on your mail app. When you look at emails in your inbox, you're pretty much only really seeing the subject and then like the first 2 lines of the body of the email. So keep that in mind in terms of like the messaging that you're using. Take a look at Mailshake. Mailshake has a great free like 8 or 10 hour course for cold emailing. It's their cold email masterclass. Check that out. I think I did a video on it. But great questions, everyone. I gotta hop off now because I'm about to pass out here. But if you guys have any other questions, check out the playlist that I have. Get into Tech Sales playlist. Feel free to DM me on Instagram. Usually respond to most of them, and I'll be on live more often as well. But thanks, everyone. Have a great night.